Hello, citizens of Gotham. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Well, so the primaries have started. The Iowa caucuses were yesterday, and Trump won pretty handily over DeSantis, and in third place was Nikki Haley. And look, I got to say this off the top. I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm not a fan of Biden. I'm an independent. Very left on many issues. I do not like the Democrats. I do not like the Republicans. I don't think Trump was a good president. I don't think Biden is a good president. I think they're all awful. And I think Obama was awful. I think George Bush was awful. Bush and Obama allowed the banks to steal 6 million people's homes, my home being one of them. There were 6 million foreclosures that mainly happened under Obama. So I don't like these parties. I don't like this. I'm not in favor of Trump. But the thing I continually have tried to point out on this show, since I started it 7 years ago in January of 2017, is that Trump is awful, but the Democrats offer nothing. That's why he keeps winning. And, Biden barely won in 2020. And did Biden cheat? I don't know. Did the Democrats cheat? Probably, but the Republicans cheat too. That was my whole thing. Like both parties cheat. They're both filthy, corrupt animals. I don't give, whatever. It's just whoever cheats better than the other one. But even Biden, he barely won that election in 2020, and everyone was in the streets cheering and whatever. And what has Biden done? He has a low, horrible approval rating. He, couldn't even get like real student debt forgiveness, which the young voters would put him in power. Young people, 18 to 34-year-old voters are what helped get Biden elected. And they all have crippling student loan debt, which he didn't help with. And didn't give us Medicare for all in the middle of a once in 100-year pandemic, which he could have done as an executive order as president of the United States. And now he's backing this awful genocide that Israel is committing against Palestine. He's bombing, he's letting Israel bomb Gaza for over 100 days now. We have 27,000 dead Palestinians. I think roughly 10,000 of them or more are children. Over 6,700 of them are women. Like, this is awful. The whole world is against Israel in the United States. And Biden, who's gotten $4.3 million from the Israel lobby over the years, is going to just double down on this. And he's losing it over and over and over. And dumb liberals and the neoliberals at MSNBC, and again, MSNBC is awful, and so is Fox. It's all awful. Like, anyone who thinks their team is slightly better than the other team, I'm sorry, you're delusional, and you've been drinking too much American Kool-Aid, thinking that the team red is better than team blue or team blue. They're all awful. And both parties support the war machine. And both parties support Wall Street. So if you think that, I feel sorry for you, and I really hope you wake up and get out of the cult that is America and the duopoly. But again, you're going to watch this panel of MSNBC people with Joyanne Reed and Rachel Maddow. They just can't understand why Trump wins. I understand why Trump wins. I understand why he won in 2016. This country was fed up. They're fed up. And he appears as an outsider. I don't think he's an outsider. Maybe you don't think he's an outsider. But in 2016, Trump and Bernie both ran populist campaigns. Bernie ran a very left-leaning populist, and Trump ran a very right-wing, crypto-fascist, jingoistic, nationalist, but it was still populist left or populist right. And, he just speaks the truth, and that's why people vote for him. Or he just says what's on his mind. He doesn't talk Trump lies a lot, obviously, but they all lie. Trump just talks crazy stuff. And that is appealing to people. And it's not appealing to me, but I understand. Americans have by and large felt completely abandoned. They've felt very abandoned. And some of his followers are, you know, super right wing or even fascist or racist or white nationalist. But a lot of them just vote for him because they're like, they voted for Trump as the lesser of two evils. And I get that. I get that. And Biden is awful, and so is Trump. But the liberals can't seem to understand that a lot of Trump's base has been abandoned by this country. If you're an American and you're not rich, you're screwed over in this country. They've been abandoned. Their factories have been closed. They've lost all of this, and the Democratic Party offers nothing. And, you know, in 2016, Hillary lost and made it and cried and said it was Russia cheated the election, and that was proven false. That was wrong. Rachel Maddow pushed that for several years. Trump loses and his supporters say, oh, we were cheated. So whoever wins in November, if it's Trump versus Biden again, 70% of this country has said they are not interested in a Trump versus Biden round two. But the Democrats offer nothing. The other Republicans offer nothing. The Republican Party is an insane clown car. Like they're living in this alternate universe, the Republican Party. I don't know what universe they're living in. That Joe Biden is a crazy socialist lefty. No, Joe Biden is a Republican. Oh, that's why us as anti-war, pro-labor socialists, we are politically homeless. But listen to MSNBC freak out, you know, melt. Basically, they just can't grasp this again. They can't. So here it is. Oh.
But the previous woman, who the Trump surrogate, I wish she had not just loved it. I wish she had listed it. I wanted to hear what she was going to say, because I'm always curious when people say he did so much for us and he made America great again, like what specific policies they mean. Because the one policy that Donald Trump obviously passed was that massive, enormous tax cut. He didn't get the wall. He didn't do. I really am always curious as to what they actually mean by that. But I do think the evangelical thing that Alex was talking about, I think that is the story for the night. The fact that in 2016, these were Ted Cruz voters, you know, he kind of had the evangelical lane. In this particular race, it was Ron DeSantis who originally went hard for evangelicals. Remember the God Made a Fighter ad? He did the God ad first before Trump did. And he really was attempting to appeal directly to the souls of evangelicals. His whole strategy is Iowa. To be clear, Michael and I were talking about this, that his strategy is built around the idea that he would pull in Obama in Iowa and that he would pivot there. And even if he didn't win in New Hampshire, which is a state that's more built for Nikki Haley, he would then slingshot to South Carolina, where there is a similar percentage of evangelical voters. So he is the one that really has to win. To be honest with you, Nikki Haley doesn't need to win Iowa. It would be a nice thing for her to not win or to come in a reasonably decent, sort of respectable second. It's really Ron DeSantis for whom this is do or die. If he gets mopped tonight, he has to slink home to Florida, having done nothing. He put all of his eggs in this basket. But you heard, and Michael was talking, we were talking about this offline a little bit. You heard that I don't remember who it was that was saying that Donald Trump has a better ground game this time than he did in 2016 when he lost spectacularly to Ted Cruz, right? So I think for Donald Trump, we knew this was going to be the outcome. But the person for whom tonight actually really does matter for their political future is really not Nikki Haley, it's Ron DeSantis.
Rich, if I could, two points on that. One, on the ground game. I think not enough attention has been paid to the fact that Donald Trump came into Iowa with a very different mindset than the one he had in 2016, obviously. From what I understand, he had not just a good ground game, but a very good ground game. So when Steve started putting up those numbers, you saw that ground game. You saw the turnout effort that his people were able to get in place. When you look at the weight of the percentage of participants in this caucus. So I take note of the fact that Nikki Haley is running third in terms of those entrance polls in most of those categories. As a chairman, as a party guy, I'm sitting there looking, I'm doing the math going, this tells me two things. Both Trump and DeSantis focused on the ground game that Nikki could not get in place. That's going to hurt her tonight if these numbers hold up based off the entrance. She very well could slide into third place because of that turnout model. The other side of that comes South Carolina, to the last point that you made, Joy, about evangelicals. Unlike Iowa, there's a greater percentage of evangelical voters in South Carolina, where almost 75% of every Republican who will vote is an evangelical voter. So that sets up an interesting challenge and dynamic for her, slinging out of Iowa, where she, if the numbers hold, runs into a third place wall, right?
Right.
With these voters.
I mean, to Joy's point, though, I mean, big picture, what we've got here is Donald Trump as the projected winner in Iowa. The question is what's going to happen between Haley and DeSantis. Ron DeSantis moved his national headquarters to Iowa, his super PAC, which is effectively running his campaign, all in Iowa and running his field operation there. Everything in the Ron DeSantis campaign has been geared toward him winning in Iowa. And he did build a ground game in Iowa. Trump did too, but DeSantis's ground game in Iowa is the best of all the candidates. We've heard that over and over again. Nikki Haley didn't really start doing anything on the ground in Iowa until late November. She was never expected to be competitive in Iowa at all because it isn't such a heavily evangelical electorate. The place where she's really expected to compete is in New Hampshire. But even if Haley comes in third tonight to DeSantis, I'd still rather be Nikki Haley coming out of Iowa, because Ron DeSantis is in single digits in every single other state in the country where he isn't at a zero. And Nikki Haley is within single digits of Donald Trump in New Hampshire. And then she goes home to South Carolina, where she is way down, but at least people know her and she's got a ground game. So you'd rather be her than him, even if he does beat her in Iowa tonight.
Nikki Haley seems to be facing two big roadblocks tonight. And by the way, from this point forward, I'm happy to cede the balance of my time, as they say in the Senate, to Iowa voters, because everything we've heard from the individuals that we've listened to there been really fascinating. You had that young Republican saying that Donald Trump did not build the wall. He knows that. You know, it's nice to hear that there are Republicans who know that. He's a DeSantis guy. But we heard the Trump supporter, the one Trump supporter we heard say, Donald Trump was chosen by God to be the person that he votes for tonight in Iowa. Now, if you want to talk about an insurmountable roadblock for other candidates, that could not be more clearly defined. And what was interesting to hear was the way he put it, which was that line about, you know, God sometimes makes strange choices. When I was a kid, the way they taught that in our Catholic theology, the phrase the nuns always used was, God moves in mysterious ways. And that is there all the time for that kind of deeply religious person to use any way they want. And whether Donald Trump made them do this or whether they wanted to find their way to be for Donald Trump, they have arrived at the spot where they believe that God has decided he should not just win the Iowa caucus, he should be president again, that he is God's chosen candidate. Nikki Haley's not going to be able to beat that anywhere.
One more, I think, just layer to add to the sort of what we're calling the evangelical vote is that, you know, the Times did a good piece about this about a week and a half ago about, you know, that category itself is pretty capacious. And particularly within Republican Party politics, you have people that are regular church attendees, right? They're connected to a church. They might go to Bible study. They are enmeshed in the life world of worship. And then there are people who call themselves evangelicals who are basically unchurched, who don't go to Sunday services, who are not connected to a church. That portion has been one of the biggest growth areas for Trump. There's a whole great Times piece talking to those voters, people that identify evangelical both spiritually and politically as a sort of hybrid identity. And that has been a big part of the Trump growth as well.
I mean, I'm sure the evangelicals had something to say about it, but again, they just woefully out of touch, corporate media, and you know, Fox is out of touch in another type of way, but these insider, there was a panel of millionaires who have no clue
I'm expecting
what,
something big on August 19th.
wow, no, don't care what you have to say. Yeah, they are a wall. That was a panel of millionaires that have no idea what working class people are going through. No idea. Even if any of them were working class at some point in their life, it has been so, it has been so long. They have so woefully out of touch. It's unbelievable. They're basically just saying, well, these wingnut Christians you can't beat them. And there's not that many evangelicals to win. There's not that many. what you're getting is the Democrats offer nothing. Why do you think there were counties all throughout America that voted for Obama twice and then voted for Trump in 2016? I mean, that should tell you that, like, working class people were fine with the Democrats. The working class people were not happy after 8 years of Bush. And the evangelicals and all this, like, it comes down to money. It comes down to your day-to-day life. It is so simple. Just regardless if you have no moral compass or nothing, you just want to win as a politician. When you get into office, pass bills that make people's lives better, and you will win. If you don't, you leave a huge lane open to fascists and fanatics and crazy people, and they will do whatever. I mean, this goes throughout history. I mean, there was a lot of people who voted for Bernie and then voted for Trump, and people are like, how could you do that? I understand. I didn't. I voted for Bernie and then I voted for Jill Stein, but I totally get it. Because Bernie was like, I'm an outsider. And Trump was saying Trump's not an outsider. He's a billionaire and he was friends with the Clintons and he was on Epstein's plane 5 times. He didn't fly to his island, but he flew on his plane 5 times. So he's part of the ruling elite. He's part of the problem, but he knows how to just go up there and talk shit. I mean, he's really good at just talking shit, not sounding like a slicked up politician. And, you know, the Democrats can't, I mean, all they can attack him on is, oh, he didn't build the wall. But I mean, again, the Democrats, you know, Trump put kids in cages. Well, those cages were built by Obama and his vice president, Joe Biden, and his secretary of state, Hillary Clinton. They were all there when that happened. So, I mean, it's like Chris Hedges said it in his book, Death of the Liberal Class. He said, if Democrats actually came out and did things like what FDR did. FDR was so popular because all he did was pass bill after bill after bill after bill that made everybody's life better. He put in the safety net. He put in Social Security. He made it so you can't just go broke and live on the streets. And if the Democrats did that, but they screwed over Bernie twice, and Bernie allowed them to do it, and he didn't speak up enough. I'm really disappointed in how Bernie just acquiesced. But it's literally like, I feel like I'm back is it 2016 again? We're going to go back and do the same crap. And Joe Biden, who doesn't even know where he is. I mean, we're going to be back to Biden versus Trump. The only like thin silver lining I see is maybe Americans are so fed up with this 2-party system, and they're so fed up with Biden and so fed up with Trump that the independents, that are running, which right now is, well, you get the third party and the independents. You've got Jill Stein running, Jill Stein with the Greens, Cornel West as an independent, and RFK Jr. running as an independent. Now, RFK Jr.'s policies are way out of touch, and he supports Israel, which is going to kill him. But I think there is an appetite in this country more so than ever for people to just go, we're done with this 2-party system. And I don't know, but it could be awful. I mean, Trump could pick Nikki Haley as his VP, and man, he would probably win. He would absolutely beat Biden and Kamala. Biden, they're not likable. Biden hasn't done anything. He's not build back better anything. And again, if Bernie would have stuck to his guns and fought for his and got the nomination instead of just acquiesced, then Bernie was our president. We'd have Medicare for all because he would have passed that and we would have full student debt forgiveness. And that would be it. Everyone would be like, yeah, my lives are better. When my health insurance costs are down, young people would be like, I'm voting for Bernie. I used to have a $400 or $500 student loan debt. It's gone. My life is better now because of Bernie. My life is not better because of Joe Biden. My life was not better because of Trump. My life was way worse because of Obama and Bush. Way worse. They took away my house. So It's like, we got to watch this. It's just like another 10 months of this. We're going to go through 10 months of this crap. Ugh. I'll watch it. I'll comment on it. I'll make fun of it, but it is so hard to watch. It's the same old crap over and over. And those those pundits on that stage, they get paid no matter what. They get paid no matter what. Everyone at Fox, Hanratty, and those other idiots, they get paid no matter what. Tucker Carlson, even though he's off and he's got they'll get paid no matter what. They all get paid no matter what. They're part of the system. And both parties buy, and the candidates spend all these ad buys on all the networks and the radio stations, and it's just garbage. And it's fed to us like sports. I'm a DeSantis guy. I'm a Biden guy. I'm a this. It's just like, oh, the NFL playoffs. Oh, I'm an Eagles fan. Oh, I lost. So now that my Eagles are out, now I'm rooting for the Lions. Like, it's just that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just, I watch a lot of sports and they do it exactly the same way. And they prey on your emotions. And this is why the two-party system, go read the Constitution of the United States of America. There is zero mentions of parties. And yet our two parties control our political system. Our two parties control, and they use public money to have their primaries. People say, well, they're private parties. They can do whatever they want. They use public money. They use tax dollars. Look at all the caucusing that was in gymnasiums, high school gymnasiums, and libraries. And those are publicly funded places. Our tax dollars are going for them to use those locations. No, they get tax dollars, man. It's so insane. It's such a racket. It's such a racket. Somebody just put in the chat. Either way, the donors win. Yes, either way, Wall Street will win. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth, right? Follow us online, guys. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Go to grahamelwood.com. I'm going to be in El Salvador in February, guest hosting the Orange Pill podcast. So tune into that. Subscribe to that podcast. That is Max Kaiser and Stacey Herbert's podcast that they're going to allow me to guest host for February. I'll be in El Salvador down there, and a lot of cool stuff coming in this year in 2024. So like, share, subscribe, and shave your knuckles for justice. Boom.